The first of many trades to come down. Was it just to beat out Steel City? Or are they going to be calling New York? What are the Saints doing? What happens to the pro day for maybe the most anticipated prospect this draft season in Derek Stingley? And we got a couple of questions for you, either or. John Harris is with us today on Locked On NFL Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft Show. I am your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back Eric Crocker. Of course, I'm always joined by my co-host, Ryan Tracy, and we got our guy, John Harris. You can also follow all of us on Twitter at Eric_Crocker, at Ryan Tracy NFL, and at J Harris Football. We want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day every day, and we got some good topics that we're getting into today. First, I just want to go around and kind of ask y'all how you're doing. I think I know how Ryan is doing. If y'all don't know, Ryan's alma mater, Kansas. They won a national title in basketball, so he's a little excited right now, I'm sure.
Rock Chalk Nation, yeah, you got to enjoy it, right?
But tell them how you had to finish watching the game or listening.
This is one of those things I was supposed to record with Croc. It got all hosed up because right about a minute 30 seconds left in the ball game, I lost power and had to jump in the car with the family, pack the kids in. We listened to the last 90 seconds of it. That's all right. A win's a win's a win. It's been 13 years since the last national championship, so Rock Chalk will make it work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All that matters is you win. But in the midst of everything going on yesterday, and when I say yesterday, Monday evening, there was a huge kind of blockbuster trade, and I think everyone's trying to make sense of it. We're going to try to make sense of it today. The New Orleans Saints, they actually get picks 16 and 19 and a 6th-round pick, but stay with us here. They get picks 16 and 19 from the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, the Eagles get picks 18 this year. They get a 3rd round, a 7th round, but next year they get a 1st round and a 2nd round. So I'm going to say it all over again because I know that's a little hard to follow. And I'm going to go with what's important right now. All right, what's important is the Philadelphia Eagles get pick 18 from the Saints. The Saints now have 2 picks. So both the Eagles and the Saints have 2 first-round picks. All right, now, why do the Saints want 2 first-round picks? I think that's the big question. And John Harris, I'm going to give you the floor right now because I think you might be onto something here.
Well, I think there are 2 things here for the Saints. And, you know, it's funny. I was talking to Nick Casario the other day, and we were talking about trades and trading up and trading down because Nick isn't scared to go up and down. And he said, look, when you've got a trade situation during the draft, there's a player that's been targeted by that team. They're coming up to get that player. In 2017, for us, we traded up to get Deshaun Watson. The Chiefs traded up, I want to say they traded up to get Patrick Mahomes. Correct. There was a trade up. Now, my thought is it's a trade up it's got a quarterback involved, right? Well, the Saints have traded into the 1st round before and not taken a quarterback. Marcus Davenport, they got into the 1st round and gave up their next year's pick. I think it was to Green Bay, if I remember correctly. And then Green Bay used that pick to get Jair Alexander. And the Saints went and got Marcus Davenport. Trade scenarios during the draft are typically for quarterbacks, and that's what they're for. So here's the thing, though. If you trade to 16 and 19, how do you really know what quarterbacks are going to be on the board? That is the one that's sort of baffling me a little bit is how do you know what quarterbacks are going to be on the board unless you want to package 16 and 19 and move on up into the top 10. And I just happen to work in a building that, you know, wouldn't mind a call from Mickey Loomis to say, hey, guys, I got 16 and 19. What's it going to take to get on up into this top 5 where you're sitting at number 3? Now, that's the first thing that popped. That was the first thing that popped out. The second thing that popped out was I was actually doing my mock draft when that trade was announced. I had everything slotted, and I made a trade. I had made a trade in that before I heard about this one. And it was the Steelers moving from 20 to pick 16 to go get Desmond Ridder. And so I thought, okay, the key here is the Steelers. You got to get in front of the Steelers, have some ammunition. And so I thought if the Saints had 16, now they do have 18, but they've got 16, that's going to be obviously difficult for Pittsburgh to trade with them if the Saints indeed want Desmond Ridder. That's the player I have targeted, number 16 for the Saints. So getting to 16, getting in front of the Steelers who need a quarterback. And if the quarterbacks start to fall, well, I shouldn't say fall, I mean, really kind of land in the range where they're expected to be instead of going high because everybody overinflates quarterbacks, then New Orleans is sitting there going, well, we can take Malik Willis, we can take Kenny Pickett. But my guess is those two are going to be gone and that Desmond Ridder is going to be sitting there, and that might be the right fit for the Saints, and the Saints end up making that pick. I think the Eagles doing it, the Eagles are like, look, this is easy for us. We don't want to pay 3 first-rounders, so let's take that one of those first-rounders, and let's turn it into way more in following drafts, especially in 2023 when you know these top-notch quarterbacks are coming through. So I think there's a lot really going on. I think the question for the Saints is it going to be a guy like Desmond Ridder that you really want at 16, or are you packaging 16 and 19 and you're heading on up to the top 5 to get one of the top 2 quarterbacks?
My initial reaction was very much like yours, although I didn't include your Texans. Sorry. That's why I hinted at the top. This to me says we're not just happy enough to get in front of Pittsburgh. We need 2 of these to get in front of them because we got to get in front of Carolina. That's what it says to me. You got to call New York. It doesn't matter which one. You got to call New York because I think Matt Rule's in a position where he needs as much upside, as much risk as there is in his quarterback class. I think he wants the upside. I think that's where they're aiming. If you want him, you got to get to 4 or 5 or maybe even 3, John.
Yeah, that was my point. When I did my mock, I had Atlanta trading from 8 to 3 because, first of all, I wanted to get some clicks from my fans with the Texans. But I wanted to kind of make them think, and that was the key. It's Carolina. Carolina is the key. Because sitting at 6, if you're thinking about a quarterback, you've got to get in front of them. So if you just look at the old Jimmy Johnson trade value chart, 16 and 19 are close enough to get you to 3, 4, 5. And that's got to be the key, is to get in front of Carolina. So at that point, if you're Nick Caserio sitting at 3 or you're Brad Holmes sitting at 2, you start calling Carolina and say, hey, look, you know why New Orleans did that, right? They're scared of you. They're scared of you getting a quarterback. Now, are you satisfied sitting at 6 and taking the second quarterback, or do you want to come up and get your choice at number 2 or number 3? It's so interesting how this game is played, this draft game. I love it.
I do think, I think this move clearly is for a quarterback, right? But here's the interesting thing with the New Orleans Saints. If they are doing all this for a quarterback, which we assume they are, this is a team that just brought back Jameis Winston, and obviously it's not like they're paying him a ton of money or anything like that. And he's also coming off an injury. But I felt like the insurance for them was, let's bring in Andy Dalton. All right, so Andy Dalton's going to back up Jameis Winston, and we'll move forward with that for the next couple of years and figure things out. So do y'all, and clearly we're kind of on this track with this, but y'all foresee them saying, nah, forget all that. We're still going to give up the house to move up, to take a quarterback in and be like, all right, well, we're just going to carry 3 quarterbacks on this roster, and Andy Dalton, you just might not see the field, but you'll be a great veteran presence for these young guys.
I'm not letting the presence of a Datsun or a Honda get in the way of a BMW.
But here's the thing, John. Who is the BMW in this class? Because starting off, a lot of the conversation was, well, there's not really a first-round talent quarterback. And people are putting out their big boards and everything like that, and the quarterbacks are pushed way down. So now we're saying, forget that. You got to start leapfrogging other teams to get in position to grab one of these quarterbacks. Are people that high on them now? And what changed? If so, if teams are really high on them, what changed?
The coaches got involved. We get to this point in the draft when the coaches get involved. Now, there's no more Sean Payton in New Orleans, but the coaches start getting involved and they start watching the game tape, and they're not going to watch every single game. And look, a scout's not going to watch every single game, but the coaches get involved, and the coaches are like, hey, Jimmy, why do we have a late first-round grade on this guy? Did you see him at the Senior Bowl? This dude's ridiculous. I mean, holy smokes. I just watched 3 games, and he was fantastic in those games, and now the coaches start to get involved. And then the paranoia in some sense and the panic about a quarterback starts to take over, like, especially in NFC South. You look around and you go, okay, well, Brady decided to go back. But Atlanta loses Matt Ryan. So they go and get Marcus Mariota. At this point, I don't know, name your car. I don't want to denigrate any more cars at that point, but maybe he's a VW Bug. I don't know. Maybe you like bugs. But point being, I think the NFC South, those coaches in the organizations are looking at going, this thing's ripe because Brady is going to play forever. But maybe in this year that Brady does play, we could go get a young guy with a ton of upside, like Malik Willis, and we can start letting him learn the ropes. And by the end of the year, boom, Malik Willis is ready to roll on into year 2, and we're going to have something. And we don't have to sit there and go through all the machinations of quarterbacks in 2023. We'll have our guy, and he'll be ready to roll. Whereas Carolina might get a rookie in 2023, and they'll be a year behind. And it's just a really kind of interesting way. But the coaches get involved in this. Now, I'm not saying the coaches are going to fall in love with Malik Willis or they're going to fall in love with Kenny Pickett. My guess is the Saints may not have which guy exactly. Maybe they do. But they know it's one of 2 guys. And they know if they get one of 2 guys, they can feel pretty good about that. But I think to get those 2, because there's so many teams of that in that mix that are going to need some quarterbacks. Look, Seattle at 9, if they start letting quarterbacks fall thinking, we'll get one at 16. Seattle's sitting there at 9 going, you let all the quarterbacks to us? Okay, we'll take Malik Willis, and we'll take a more athletic version of Russell Wilson. We'll take him. Let's go. Come on.
Do y'all think that's who these teams are kind of moving around for?
I think it's got to be. I mean, I think it's got to be that they're moving around for quarterbacks, because I think Philadelphia is actually moving around for quarterbacks next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Next year.
So and this year they give themselves a chance to kind of see Hurts one more time. And, that I think that would be giving him plenty of time. It's like, all right, you've had 3 years now to kind of show if you can be the guy. And if they're not comfortable with what they're seeing, then they can move on next year. And I like that. Positioning himself, not just in the first round, having 2 first-round picks next year, but also an extra second round next year as well. I think those picks will definitely come in handy. We're going to probably touch more on that as this draft process moves on. Coming up next, we are going to talk about a certain player that is having a big pro day, Derek Stingley. What does he have to do there to solidify himself back in the mix of CB1? Because right now, Sauce Gardner, he's kind of taking all the thunder right now. But first, we want to talk to you a little bit about Shady Rays. All right, Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that gives you the features of a $200 sunglass for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed, durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, they have something that you won't find anywhere else. Shady is they have this insane protection plan. All right, Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair of glasses that you get. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try. And if you don't like them, guess what? They'll pay you back. You'll pay nothing for these glasses. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight the hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com right now and use the promo code Locked On to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code Locked On for their best deal of the season. 50% off, guys. What are you waiting for? On 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. Go do that right now. We want to thank you for listening to the Locked On NFL Draft. Make it your first listen of the day and every day. Make sure you are following the Locked On NFL podcast as well. Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NFL every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, guys, you got Sauce Gardner. He's kind of taking over that role of CB1, but maybe there is a little bit of kind of, people forgetting about Derek Stingley and what he was. He had a tremendous freshman year. Tremendous. I think at that time, everyone was just pegging him as CB1 whenever he comes out, no matter what happens. And I think the no matter what happens part kind of did happen. He had injuries. There was some inconsistent play that was kind of due to his injuries. He suffered a foot injury in his last year, had to opt out for the rest of the season. And now I'm curious to know, like, which version of Sauce Gardner are you getting? Are you getting the guy that was terrific his freshman year and only had a hiccup against Devontae Smith? Or are you having the guy over the last 2 years where the movement looked, something was a little off? He wasn't that technical, sound cornerback on a consistent basis, playing the play out against elite competition. So now he has a pro day and he gets to put this all on display. Ryan, I want to start with you. What are you hoping to see from Derek Stingley Jr.?
I hope he makes it through the workout smooth. I hope he tests well. But like you just said, is he that guy that was fundamentally sound that could mirror like he did when he was a freshman? We won't know that from the pro day. Nothing's changing in terms of on the film or how many games he's played in the last 2 years. You hear it all the time. Availability is your best ability. Will he have that? Are the reports going to be sound enough that you can say, listen, maybe this Liz Frank is cleaned up, but how is he structurally? Are his ligaments intact? Do we feel that he has any looseness in any of his other joints? Can we project what his medicals are going to be for the next couple of years? These are all things that aren't going to happen at the pro day. So while this is great, and I hope he runs well for his sake, because I think it will give him a bit of a lift, I don't know that it changes the stock that much. John, what do you think?
It's interesting you bring that up, Brian, because the one thing that you have brought up is the one thing that none of us are going to know, and that's the medicals. And this happened probably, it's about 5-6 years ago. I was floating around in the cafeteria, and our head trainer, a guy by the name of Jeff Kaplan, who was just fantastic. And Cap came up to me, and he could be very pointed. He's like, hey, John Harris, why do you guys do all these mock drafts without knowing what the medicals are? I looked at him. I said, Cap, we don't know what the medicals are. We have no idea, and you're not going to let us know. And he goes, yeah, and you're never going to know. And he walked away. I was like, all right, Cap. His point was what exactly Ryan just said, and that is we, the three of us, anybody that covers this draft from a media standpoint, even some team personnel, we're not going to know what the medicals say on these particular athletes. And we see it all the time. We see a guy fall in the draft like, man, I thought this guy, like last year, I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, there was a concern about, and I can't remember what it was. There was a medical concern last year, but nobody really discussed it. We didn't know about it until later. Like, man, why did he fall to the second round? What was the deal? The Browns got a great player. I mean, I saw him up close this past year, and he did a great job against us in week 2 and a great rookie year. But come to find out, he had a medical issue that we just didn't know about. And that's one of the things that we'll never know. What we'll be able to see is at his pro day. How smooth does he look? How explosive does he look? You know, he's coming off a Liz Frank injury. So, man, those things, they can be a killer when you're trying to come back from that, especially at a position like that. Eric, you know it well, where you've got a matching mirror. You've got to be able to turn and go. Your transitional quickness is all right there in the lower half. I mean, you need all of that. Whether Derek Stingley is going to have that or not, it's a great question. He says he's fully healthy. And at that point, I just want to see him have a to Ryan's point, have a fully healthy workout and hopefully run well in the 40 and kind of put teams back to the film room to look at 2019. As crazy as that sounds, to go all the way back to your freshman year, to look at what he could be. Now, this is such a tough part for the GM because Derek Stingley could end up getting a GM fired. You took a risk on a guy that you knew was a medical problem. He played 2 games last year dealing with another medical problem. We're moving on. It's the kind of thing that really can put a GM at risk. That GM has got to have some grande cojones to be able to make a pick of that magnitude with a guy that's had such an injury history. But Stingley can at least put the workout on tape for everybody to watch and show, hey, I still have it. I've still got it. And when we get to training camp, I'll show you on the field that I've still got it. It's a huge day. I think it's the biggest pro day for a guy of this entire draft class to be able to show what he can do after everything that he has been through the last couple of years in particular.
I think between him and Drake London, I think those two guys, because people are, questioning their long speed and things like that. I do think for Stingley, who his pro day is actually Wednesday. So as you listen to this, it should be happening shortly after you hear this, or it would have happened shortly after, and then we'll kind of summarize it on the next episode. But it is intriguing because, you just want to know how well has he been able to prepare for this with that injury. And I think that's the toughest thing. But let's say injury aside, how do you feel about him? I did see some reports that the New York Jets were like, we're kind of actually going to fall back on drafting Derek Stingley. Do you think it's because of maybe the injury concerns and, things that he's dealt with over the past couple of years? Or I can't imagine that it's something with his play.
I mean, he hasn't played enough, I guess, really for the Jets to not love him as a player at that point. But I can see the Jets saying, look, we're sitting at number 4. We got to have a sure thing. We got a second-year quarterback who was kind of up and down. We need a sure thing. I don't know what exactly that sure thing is. Maybe Sauce Gardner is that sure thing for the New York Jets. Perhaps. Maybe they see
or at least someone with less question marks, right?
Yes. Yes. And I can see the Jets, a GM that's only been there a couple of years, Robert Saleh going into his second year. So I can see them not wanting to roll the dice as much, potentially. Maybe the Giants look at it and go, hey, wait a second. We don't know what we're doing with James Bradbury. They're both first-year guys. They make a mistake. Hey, it's the first year. We learn from it. We move on. But if Stingley were a guy that hits, I could see kind of in the top, 10 where I think Stingley should go. I could see there being some consternation about it because, man, how do we trust this? But then you look at Seattle, number 9. It's Pete Carroll and John Schneider. They've been together forever. They take a guy like Derek Stingley and it hits. Boy, maybe that gets some juice back into Seattle if Seattle ended up looking at corner, although I think they'll look at quarterback or left tackle. But, hey, maybe that's a place where it would fit perfectly because Pete Carroll and John Schneider have done it before. They don't feel as much pressure to take a risk on a guy at that particular point. And hopefully Stingley shows, hey, man, I'm not a health risk anymore. Hopefully. Yeah. But we'll obviously see that on Wednesday.
And we'll know if the Jets express more interest because of that after this workout. I will say this. It's one thing to just do back pedal drills, flip your hips, show what you can do there. If you really want to understand how he is physically, folks, get a look at his 3-cone. Because running a straight line, orienting your foot straight ahead is one thing. Being able to plan on it, let it roll a little bit, that has a whole different aspect to how you're recovering. That will tell the tale. And if teams are like this, or Lord forbid he doesn't run a 3-cone or the shuttle or put himself in that position, that will tell you exactly where he is in his recovery. I will say this too, along with Drake London, Cam Thomas had a pro day way after the process here just the other day. He did well. So he's one of the 6 guys that ran a sub-7 3-cone at the edge position. He's faster than Trayvon Walker in that particular drill. I just wanted to point that out. So all those that you've been forgetting.
And that's been your guy. So. Cam Thomas has been your guy out of San Diego State.
Yes, I get stubborn.
Definitely excited to watch the pro day of Derek Stingley Jr. tomorrow. I'll definitely be tuned in on the big screen. I hope y'all will too. And if you're not, we will definitely kind of let you know what happened there. Up next, we're going to do either or. Where we're put on the spot, got to pick between one or the other. And a fun exercise we started last week. But first, definitely want to talk to you a little bit about Built Bar. All right. And I know everybody's coming down the home stretch of kind of being off of their New Year's resolutions, everything like that. I actually just started kind of working out, getting back in shape. And one thing that helps me stay on track is definitely a Built Bar because I have a mean sweet tooth. And the Built Bar with all these good nutrients helps me not go crazy and go get those Reese's peanut butter cups that I so desperately want. If you haven't already, you need to try the Built Bar Puffs. Those are amazing. Those are the ones that I order. I order a variety pack, but you can order whichever ones you want. They are all delicious. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They are fluffy, they are marshmallowy, and they are not just a protein bar. They are a treat, and they are covered with 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite and have some incredible flavors. Yummy cinnamon churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. They are all so good. They're probably going to be your new favorite as well. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, that includes the Built Bar Puffs as well. They are low in calorie, high in protein, and they replace any candy bar that you want. Again, I like Reese's peanut butter cups. I got rid of them. Replace it with a Built Bar. All right. You'll be blown away by a lot of what you see with this, including the macros. If you're into counting your macros, all right, most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Compare that to any candy bar that usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. It doesn't even compare. All right. Mint brownie, coconut almond, and they're always coming out with new flavors, including this new white chocolate cookies and cream. They are all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. If you think of a flavor that you might like, they might make it. And if they do, it'll be delicious. At Built Bar, they worry about the taste first. All right, they want it to taste good. They want it to be delicious. And then they circle back around and make sure that it's healthy for you. If you want some of these delicious bars, I'm sure you do, go to Built.com right now. Use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off of your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Starting either or. And John Harris, I know you want to start it off. We'll see if I come up with something. I know Ryan Tracy has something for us. But John Harris, the floor is yours.
Okay, here we go. Number one, I flipped a coin. And it came up, Eric Crocker goes first. That's a special coin that I have. Jaguars are picking at number one. Now, last week we did offensive linemen. This week, the Jaguars select either Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker, or Kayvon Thibodeau. Eric Crocker, the floor is yours.
You know, this might be controversial, and maybe I'm overthinking things. But give me the high upside guy. And there might be question marks, but hey, I'm a coach. It's my job to teach these guys. All right, it's my job to coach them up and make sure that they become the player I want them to be. So with the number one overall pick, if it's up to Eric Crocker, which is not, it's up to Trent Baalke, which I actually have something to say about that too. But I'm taking Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. Now listen, one thing that people are forgetting about Aiden Hutchinson, big guy. But he kind of has these shorter arms. Doesn't really have the arm length. One thing I've learned about Trent Baalke as his time as general manager with the 49ers, he loves the measurables. He loves the long arms on a lot of these guys. So we'll see if he goes away from what he traditionally likes and values most. But that's something to definitely keep an eye on.
Ryan Tracy, Jaguars pick at number one. It's an edge player. Is it Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker, or Kayvon Thibodeau?
Let's be honest. The Baalke regime, it's the last game of the regular season. It's October. You're trying to make it into the baseball playoffs, right? You're at the bottom of ninth. You got 2 outs. Is he swinging away for the highest upside, or is he trying to buy himself another game? I think he takes the safe route and goes Hutchinson. Make sure that you get what is the safest of the 3 that you can put on that field and get something out of without risking your job.
Boy, that's very well put from both of you. All right. This one we will start with Ryan. Eric, I want you to answer this one too, so listen closely. The Kansas City Chiefs have lost Patrick Mahomes to the circus.
It's over.
The Chiefs now have to draft a quarterback at 28 or 29. Ryan, are you taking either Desmond Ridder or Matt Corral?
This is honestly a very much same scenario as we just talked about. Ridder is the safe guy that can run this offense that you feel should be able to move the ball. Is he going to be able to hit all those targets? Not 100% on that. I think that if it's Andy Reid and Brett Veach, they are definitely not at the bottom of the ninth. They're going to take Corral, change their offense, make it even more heavily RPO, and run for the fences.
Eric, what would you do in that situation? Ridder or Corral?
Give me Ridder. I like Ridder. I'm pretty high on Ridder. I like his movements, easy mover, easy thrower, a little accuracy, up and down. Can we fix that? Or can you get a guy like, I don't know, Travis Kelce, who has a huge catch radius? You don't have to be the most accurate guy throwing to him. Oh, by the way, brought in the guy named Valdez Scantling. I don't know, he's fast. He can outrun coverage. I need to be able to throw the ball out there. Juju Smith-Schuster, terrific contested catch guy. I think Desmond Ridder fits what they have. And with his athletic ability, you can utilize the run game as well. I'm taking Ridder there.
I think Matt Corral will do more TikToks with Juju, so you might have to roll Corral. All right, Eric, we'll start with you on this one. The San Francisco 49ers lose every single one of their running backs in an IRS sting. They got to draft a running back with their first pick in the draft. which is pick number 61. All running backs are available at 61 somehow. You walk up to Kyle Shanahan and you whisper the words either Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker III.
Oh, well, there's actually another guy I think Kyle would.
It's just these two. I know.
Okay.
Else, but
All
just these two. All of his running backs are in jail. The IRS got them, so they got to start anew.
Does that include Deebo Samuel? Because he's a running back too. All right. Okay. Let me answer the question.
I'll let him have Deebo. Deebo's clean.
Yeah. All right. Kenneth Walker. I just feel like Breece Hall, man. I feel like he's a Shanahan back. I think he's a one-cut guy. I think he's terrific in the pass-catching game. Obviously we saw, both of those guys ran well at the combine, but they got the breakaway speed. But I think I just see it a little bit more consistently from Breece Hall, just with his style. It feels like it matches what Kyle Shanahan wants. Both guys, terrific back. And the more I watched Walker, I loved it. But I think Breece Hall, that's Kyle's guy.
Ryan?
So you're saying, Eric, that he's going to get 8 games in and have an injury. Is that what you're telling me? Because he's a 49ers back. Okay,
yeah, I know. They all get hurt. All of them.
Because if I'm Kyle, I want to go away from that. And I want to go get the guy. Sometimes in some games, you just have to pick a dude and go stick your helmet in his chest. And that's what Kenneth Walker will do. He will also get you a ton of yards. He will put himself in position to help you. I will take Kenneth Walker. Thank you very much.
All right. I like the fact that we're split on this.
Pierre Strong is the other guy. Like that's a Shanahan back. He may not go at 61, but keep an eye on Pierre Strong.
One of my best friends in this world is his agent. So I'm cheering for Pierre Strong. I actually cheering for him to come to Houston. Okay. Ryan, straight up. Drake London or Treylon Burks? Go.
Drake London, done.
Eric?
He can do it all.
That was too easy. That's a tough one because I've been like a big advocate of Treylon Burks. Anybody that's been listening to this podcast throughout the year, and I mean the 40, the testing, what it looked like at the combine, it scared me just a little. And I think Drake London may win this by default because he hasn't done a pro day. We haven't seen him in drills, so I'm going to lean on Drake London right now. But after he does his workout, we'll see if I still feel that way.
Okay.
I got a Burks one for you, John.
Okay.
I've been looking at this. I've been trying to compare. I'm trying to get myself. I'm a team that needs something that isn't an X running posts and corners. Right. I need something that could be an X factor. Mm-hmm. As I look at who changes direction the best, these guys came out nearly identical. So you tell me, Treylon Burks at the end of the first or Khalil Shakir at the top of the third?
Oh, now Khalil Shakir. Oh man. Man, I love Khalil Shakir. I love him to death. I think he'll do anything. I think he is a competitive warrior. I love that dude. I would, as much as I love Burks, I'm getting Shakir at the top of the third.
Yep.
So I'll put it this way. The Texans are drafting 67. Would I want Shakir at 67? Boy, I think I would. I love him. I got him right in that range. If I could get him at 80, I'd love it. But I don't want to play around because I think Shakir is just he's a competitive warrior, man. And as much as I love Burks, I just think getting him in the third, Shakir in the third, is tremendous value. So I'm going to go with that. And we're going to stay with receivers for his last one. Both these guys are speed demons. Both of them are killers on special teams as gunners, as punt blockers. They also run tremendous routes. And they were once teammates. Ryan, you got to pick wide receiver, either Jameson Williams or Chris Olave.
And back to our discussion about Stingley, right? Everybody's okay, right? We're this ACL
everybody's
is clean.
Fully healthy.
Okay,
Jameson comes out with a clean bill of health. Olave's been healthy. Everybody clean bill of health, ready to roll.
When it comes down to it, you can attack with both of them. They have to be in different ways. But when it comes down to it, whether it's a return or a go take the ball away from another returner, or hey, we just need a play, it's Jameson Williams. I'm taking him.
Eric?
Jameson Williams. That's my wide receiver one. Love him. Don't care about the injury. It's almost to me like if you ask me throughout this process and how we've been talking, injuries don't play a factor in who I'm drafting. Yeah. I think these guys, they're young. they'll recover. They'll be fine. And a year from now, nobody will remember an ACL injury from Jameson Williams.
Here's the thing, and I know it was at Ohio State, but Ohio State, Olave was wide receiver 1, and Jameson Williams had to transfer. I know that's a question that teams are going to ask themselves in their war rooms. Like, hey, wait a second. Weren't they teammates? Yeah. And Williams transferred. Now, you can look at it as Williams transferred from Ohio State, or you look at it as Williams transferred to Alabama. I think it's more that. But Olave was the big dog of those three for the most part over Jameson Williams for a couple of years. That would make me think. But I have Olave number 1 as my wide receiver 1, and I have Williams a shade behind him. So I've got him close. I fell in love with Olave against Indiana in 2019 when he blocked a punt for a touchdown. And then on the successive series, he caught a post route for a touchdown. I thought, that dude's more than just a speed demon. That dude is a full-on baller, and I'll take him all day.
Give me a football player any day of the week, and he is exactly that. All those guys, and you talked about Jameson Williams running down on punts. Hell, he got kicked out of a game for targeting running down against Auburn, being a gunner. So exciting stuff from all those guys. Exciting stuff from this draft. Trades going on, pro days still happening, all that good stuff, and we are the spot for you. All right, we want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day every day. For your second listen to Locked On 49ers with myself and Brian Peacock. Listen to Locked On Kansas City Chiefs with Ryan Tracy. Also, John Harris. Check out John Harris, footballtakeover.com. Follow him on Twitter at jharrisfootball. Follow me on Twitter at Eric_Crocker and Ryan on Twitter at Ryan Tracy NFL. Tomorrow, when we come back, we're going to get into some day 2 prospects that stand out to us. We'll touch on a little bit more of this network-wide mock draft we're doing and much more. Keep it locked right here, Locked On NFL Draft. Let's go. Peace.